I'm going to try and replace the head unit on my 2016 Honda CRV Touring. It came with factory nav and the 7-inch screen. I'm going to try and replace it with the ViaBecs Android unit that I got. I've done this a couple of times, so maybe I'll go through a little faster and maybe highlight the experiences that I've had. I put it in, I took it out, and for a different reason, and I'll explain a little later why. Went back to the head unit or the factory head unit, and I realized I could live with the ViaBecs Android head unit with its larger screen and the Apple CarPlay that I really miss. I'm going to try and show you what I'm doing to install it today. The first thing we need to do is to try and pry out the factory unit using a pry tool like this. I got this off of Amazon. It's really hard to do it with one hand, but I've pre-loosened it. There's points here that you can take out the you can pry through and pull it out. It was pretty hard to do the very first time because the factory unit was wedged pretty snugly into the dashboard, but nothing you can break. I think I had to use two hands, but I got it out. I didn't completely remove it just so I can make this video. So for the time being, if you can just see, you can pry it out, and I'll try to pry out. So we need to take out both vents and the head unit. I'll take out one of the vents, and we need to reuse the clips, the white clips that you see, and put them on the new head unit. But for the time being, let me show you what to remove. These were pre-loosened, so obviously they come out pretty easily. The main thing with the head unit is that you probably need two hands to pull it out, and really hard to show it with one hand. Yeah, it's really hard with one hand, as in. But the very first thing we need to do is to try and remove the hazard light connector. Hopefully you can see as I try to jam it close here. You need to try and remove that factory connector for the hazard lights. Let me do that for a second. I realized the part where I removed the connectors wasn't recording when I was trying to do it with one hand. But anyway, there are other videos that people have made that showed how to remove it. That's pretty much what I followed. The part that I wanted to show you is the back of the factory head unit. The clips that we need to remove are the clips at the bottom. We need to take those out and put this on the new ViaBecs unit that I have out here. I've made all the wire connections. They're pretty much straightforward. Almost everything is a different pin size, so it's anything that goes in, that plugs in, you can't plug it in wrong even if you wanted to. The only couple of things that you really needed to pay attention to, at least for my car, was to make sure the antenna continuity line, the power line that tells the antenna to the amplifier to wake up, sorry, not the antenna, the amplifier continuity line to be connected. I just connected them using just to test it out. I connected the blue wire here. I put electrical tape on it. Maybe I should make a better connection, but I wanted to try how it works first before I make any connections permanent. The other two connections that I had to make were pretty much straightforward. The CVBS in video line had to be connected to the video R in, and the back video in connector had to be connected to the video connector that's plugged in through the 8-pin, I believe. So those are the only connections I made. The antennas attached pretty much, the GPS antenna and the FM antenna. There's also a supplied 4G antenna that I'm not using, so I'm going to be using the head unit pretty much with CarPlay, so I've not tried to connect the 4G antenna, just to make my life and wire management a little easier. Everything else came pretty much baked in. Let me replace out the clips. So if you see, there's clip holders at the bottom where we need to put those orange and the white clips that I took out, that I'm going to be taking out from the factory head unit. So there are clips at the bottom, clips at the top that we'll be taking out. I'll show you maybe one of those. I'll put all of those in and we'll see what to do next. Now I'm removing the orange clips off of the bottom of the factory head unit. The ones at the bottom are orange and flatter than the white clips that go on the top. If you look at the dashboard here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 different places for the white clips to go in after I remove the vents and the factory radio. The ViaBecs unit only needs 4 clips on the top, so I'm going to choose to retain the white clips on the top of the factory head unit and just take off the white clips from the vents. But since the orange clips are flatter and only come on the head unit, I'm going to try and remove them. They clip in, so you want to be a little careful not to break them. And by the way, I did break a couple of the white clips when I first tried to remove it, and I think I paid $5 for replacement clips off of Amazon, so something like $5 or $6, so it's not too crazy. But the only thing is to make sure we don't break the clips as we remove them. They pretty much pop out. It's hard to show with one hand. Yeah, there's a, yeah. Okay, I don't want to break this. Okay, see, they came out pretty easily. The sharp edge on the bottom is what holds it in. So as long as we don't pull it out horizontally, yeah, so you just need to pry it out. I'll take all the 3 out. There's 3 clips at the bottom, and I'll come back. I took out the clips, all 3 clips from one of the vents, and then one of the clips from the other vent, to get 4 white clips and 3 orange clips. I just realized as I was doing this that instead of trying to use force, if you use your small screwdriver to push out the locking pin at the bottom, so you pry one of these up, and the locking pin that you see in the middle, if you just push it out of the slot that it snaps into, it comes out much easier than if you were to try and use force, which is what I did the first time when I broke a couple of the pins. But it comes out relatively easy once you figure out and you're not afraid maybe to get replacement plugs for a few bucks. If you really do break them, it's not there that they're irreplaceable. I'm going to try and put the pins or the clips on the ViaBecs head unit over here. So hopefully you can see it as I'm doing it. There's clips that you just basically push in. There's no one right way or the other. The bottom, I believe, is slightly different. Just push them in. Here you go. Okay. Okay. The bottom clips, if you can see again, I think I mentioned it. The bottom of the bottom clips is flat, so it's not uniform like the white clips where they're more like a V shape. This is flat on one side and has a V on the other. So the flat side goes on the bottom. Again, they're pretty easy to put on, so like so. The orange clips are not even hard. The white ones are much harder to push in a little bit, especially if you're being careful. They go on pretty easily. Yeah, with all the wires, it looks like a mess that you're, especially for the first time, it looks hard, but it's not that hard. So just to show all the connections that I made, pretty much all pins can only go in one way, so it's reasonably foolproof. I will start putting things back in. One of the first things I think I'll do, since I'm doing this my second time and maybe I've learned, is to just plug in the power to begin with, and before I connect all the factory functions, and try to upgrade the firmware on this unit. So the ViaBecs customer support messaged me and pointed me to the latest Android update file or the OS patch, the latest that I needed to install to make sure everything goes smoothly during the first install. So maybe before I connect everything else up, I'll try and power up the unit and update the firmware first, but we'll see. It probably doesn't matter. On second thoughts, maybe I'll just connect up all the plugs to avoid the hassle of trying to do it multiple times, and just use a USB stick to update the firmware. One thing to note, as I was talking to customer support, there's a 6-pin USB plug, and that comes with like a female USB plug. Let me find it. So this is the 4-pin. This one can be connected to the factory USB port, so by default only one of the factory USB ports will be active. You'll have to figure out which one depending on the green or the gray one that I disconnected earlier. The second one seems to be tangled up in here. Okay, there you go. It's harder than it looks to film with one hand and also see what you're doing. All right. Oh, this is better. Okay, so that's the 6-pin USB connector. And what's special about this connector, I mean, it's just a USB port as far as we're concerned. It's still USB 2, looks like. Is the 6-pin connector is the only one that can be used for wired Android, not CarPlay. I have an iPhone, so yeah, the equivalent of Android Auto. So this one, the 6-pin, is the only port that supports the wired connection. If you want to do that, I'm going to try and use the wireless version, which is why I got this unit, the wireless CarPlay, which is the Apple or the iPhone version. So I'm pretty much going to be using this connector for the factory connection. I'll update the firmware using this because I have a regular USB that I can plug in. And then I have an aftermarket connector just like this one that attaches on to this, so I can keep both factory ports active. I'm choosing to keep the HDMI port on my so my particular car has an HDMI and 2 USB ports. I'm going to keep the HDMI port inactive because I've never used it in almost 9 years of owning this car. I don't think I'll ever use it, so I'm choosing not to get a separate adapter to keep the HDMI port active, but there is something that you can get if you really use it in any fashion. All right, I'll resume filming once I start putting things back in. And for the most part, things are straightforward. Even the factory connectors, all the connectors are different sized. Yeah, and all of them pretty much go in only one way. So it takes because of the tight space, it takes a little while to put those in, but they only go in one way, so you can't go wrong. One thing I forgot to mention is that the ViaBecs units comes with a better Bluetooth mic. I find that the factory Bluetooth mic that's in there, especially when you're driving, finds it very hard to pick up voices, and it sounds very dull and muted, and you get a lot of road noise according to the receivers on the other end. So I'm going to try and plug in the aftermarket mic, and I'm going to try and, to minimize the amount of work, try and clip it somewhere right behind the steering wheel here. And if you look in, there's plenty of cavities within. I don't know if it comes out as easily, but you can pretty much drop the line through that cavity there, and it comes down right below where the opening in the trim for the steering column. So I'm going to take it around the steering column and just put the mic up here. I'm going to stick it and see how it works before I try to place it in maybe a better location, but let me first try to use it. So what I did here is I took the microphone connector, tied it up to a piece of aluminum wire that I have, and I tied it up with a piece of string so I can snake it through the steering column, I guess gap behind the steering column here, and it comes up right through the dash. It's reasonably easy, but just so it goes through properly, I put it to something stiffer so I can fish it out. I'm taking the connector end, and pushing it through because I don't want to push the mic through that. The connector goes in the dash anyway, so that's probably the right way to send it. You can see, oh, it went somewhere. Let me see from the other end where it actually came through. All right, you can see right there my connector came through. I just have to stick my hand in, pull it out. I'll bring it through the dash opening here, and I'll connect it to the microphone connector on the ViaBecs once I start making the connections. You'll see one end of the mic, or at least the mic end that I'm going to, it comes with a connector, so I'm going to try and clip it right behind here. I fished the wire through, and I'm going to put it into the I guess the mic connector on the ViaBecs here. Then I'll start plugging in the rest of the connectors. So one of the things I just realized is we need to take the vents, the actual vents off of the factory connectors here and plug them into the ViaBecs unit. The ViaBecs unit comes with the outside frame here. The inside, the vent itself needs to be taken out. There's like 3 screws that you take out and you have to put it in. As I was trying to put the new unit in, I just realized I had to still take care of the vents, so I will do so. It's reasonably easy. There's just screws that you take out, put them into the ViaBecs unit before you plug it in. So I took the vents off of the factory frame, and we need to try and fit it into the frame of the ViaBecs. So I'm going to line it, probably the wrong side. Let's see. Okay, you have to align the screws. I'll do so with two hands. Put both of them in. Pretty much just screw them in once you align the holes, and I'll be back. Put the ViaBecs frame together along with the vents, and I'm trying to stick it in into the factory head unit. I brought all the connections together over here. We're going to try and connect them up shortly here. I drove out into the open to get a little more light. It was pretty dark in my garage, so I drove outside a little bit to try and get more light for myself and also for the video. I plugged in all the connectors that were available. It's important to note that there's at least 4 other connectors on the factory harness that won't be connected. One is an HDMI connector, one's a USB input that I'm not connecting yet. You can get an extra harness to connect one of the USB ports, the second USB port up to it. One I think is a GPS connector. I'm not really sure what this 6-pin or 8-pin connector is, but it's not needed. There's no equivalent receptacle for it on the ViaBecs unit. So for the time being, I'm just going to put things back together. I'm going to leave my USB port hanging out here so I can do the factory so the software upgrade. I'm just going to place it loosely in here. You can see I mistakenly pressed the hazard lights on the top, and it's working, so it's pretty much connected. Let me power things back up and see what happens. And I do have a USB stick here that I put the upgrade software on. So let's power it on, make sure it comes up, and then I'll try to upgrade the software before I do any more configuration. So far so good. That is the default theme. The one thing I do want to make sure is that the amplifier comes up if I turn on the radio, but we'll do that in just a second. So let's go to the apps. I believe we go to settings. We go to factory. There's one of 2 passwords on the factory depending on what you want to do. I'm going to use 1 2 3 4 5 6. Confirm. I'm going to see the menu here. I'm going to try and find where the about. Oh, it might be in the system. Okay, let's go to system. System upgrade. Oh, let's do this first. Went to about, and it'll show me what the current version of the installed software is. So it says application version is TS10S 2025-09-28. So that's like August 28th of 2025. I'm in March 2026, so it's a little out of date, so the software needs to be updated. So I want to do that first, and I'll do a detection update here, because hang on, for that to work I needed to plug in the USB into the port. Okay, there. Let's try that again now that the USB is plugged in. Oh. Yeah. Okay, I guess that's not it. So let's go to factory. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess I have to look up where the upgrade is. The other thing we can try and do is system, under system upgrade. We'll do a system local upgrade because it's on my USB. I'll pick USB 1 in there, and it's searching. I think it'll take a few minutes to upgrade and come back on. Let's wait till something comes on, and then we'll wait till it finishes upgrading. Okay, so it went from that updating screen. It really gave not too much of an indication other than a circle that was going around. It's since rebooted and looks like it's updating the firmware. You'll see all the text that you can't really read updating on the left there, but the good sign is it is updating and it is doing something. So let's wait for it to finish. Okay, it's restarting after it finished everything. I don't know if you hear the hiss. It comes on because apparently the head unit includes the option to have a music, some kind of music play at the beginning when it boots. But since it doesn't have any default music, it always hisses instead. So one of the reasons I installed the unit the first time, took it off, went back to factory, and now I'm trying to go back to it again, was that hiss. So if you're using the factory amplifier, you have to try and change the amplifier gain, because the factory amplifier on this CRV Touring 2016 essentially expects a very low level signal, and the high voltage that comes out of this head unit doesn't really work with the factory head unit, and it just ends up amplifying all the background noise as well. So it comes up with a big hiss. I guess the difference between a hiss and a hum is usually because of ground. So initially I tried to troubleshoot with the ViaBecs tech support to see if additional grounding or anything else of that kind would help, and it didn't help. The only thing that did help was just setting the amplifier gain to be way down. So now that I've realized that, I wasn't sure if it was an issue with the ViaBecs unit, so I also got a Kenwood head unit that was much smaller screen. I figured it would integrate better, but again, nothing wrong with the Kenwood, but the integration using a crux harness wasn't as good as the integration that I got with this ViaBecs, which I guess is a big pro for this ViaBecs. Not only is it a bigger screen, the integration is a little better. Nothing will be 100% factory perfect, but you want to pick and choose the most important ones. For me, just the rear camera and how the turn When you're reversing, it shows up on this unit. On the Crux it did not. It just showed you the rear camera without showing you where you were turning. So I think that was a big thing. And when I went to the Kenwood, again with the factory amplifier, it may be less of an issue if you're using an aftermarket amplifier, but if you're using a factory amplifier, I figured the Kenwood had no gain setting at all that I could change. So the hiss was even louder when I played anything out of the Kenwood. So I found that annoying, having paid almost double the price of this ViaBecs for that Kenwood unit. So I essentially returned the Kenwood. It's mostly to do with the integration, not necessarily Kenwood, but still. I figured I liked the bigger screen and the wireless CarPlay, and at least the integration that does work off of this ViaBecs much better than the Kenwood. So Kenwood and the Crux harness combination. So we're here back again. I'm going to go to settings and confirm that we are. Let's go to about, and we can see the version upgraded to TS10S 2026-0126. So we're back at a January version of the software, of the Android software. So now that it's successfully done that, I will unplug. I've not fully put everything back in perfectly, just as I'm trying to make sure everything works correctly. I'll take out the USB so it doesn't try to update by any chance the next time on the same one. Let me go back to factory for a second. So if I use 8888 as the factory password instead of the 123456 that we used the last time, you get a slightly different set of settings. Amp volume, I think this is the one that I had previously set to pretty low. You can experiment with what works for you. I'm pretty sensitive to hiss and noise, and part of the reason I have good speakers, focal speakers in the car, so the hiss is very noticeable. So I try not to. I'll go start with minus 15 dB and we'll see what happens. Okay. What else? Let's see if the camera works. Okay. This is the right lane camera. It's pretty dim, or at least since I'm outside. So I'll turn everything way up. Yeah, it looks like if I increase the contrast a whole lot, it starts introducing a lot of noise. But I'll pick. I went to max brightness and I went to contrast of 4. Maybe I'll increase the saturation a little bit. I'm not sure how much it. Oh, I hit reset for some reason. So I'll go to max brightness again so I can see it during the day. We'll go to a little higher contrast. Okay, let's leave it here for the time being. And if I go to camera, you want to make sure the settings, I'm in the US, so the camera setting needs to be NTSC, and looks like that's already defaulted. Okay. Let's try the rear camera. If I put it in reverse, it seems to default to the wrong view. So if I tap the screen, it shows me the views that are available. Looks like it wanted to go to the top-down view. Okay, let me pick the wide view as the default. And now I can see what's behind me. All right, so let's go back home. I'm sure there's other settings that we can try. Okay, we want to try and select the correct model here. I'm not near any kind of Wi-Fi, so I don't want to mess with this. I'll go back home and show you what to do. It seems to have defaulted to the right setting. On the instructions that I got, it said make sure it's CAN box raise and cars for 22 Honda, 12 to 15 CRV. Even though mine is at 2016, the only option available is 12 to 15 CRV, high config, and right view over here. So I'll only change that once I go home, because it might want to update the microcontroller or something when you go there, and I don't have Wi-Fi right now. I could probably do it from the phone mobile Wi-Fi setting, but it's not so great right now, so like I don't want to mess with it. I'll go home and do it when I just draw out for better light outside my garage. What else? Let's see if it actually plays. Let's go to the radio. Okay. If you seems to be playing pretty good. Okay, let me turn that off just in case YouTube catches some copyright off of that radio on the music. But it seems to be playing pretty good. You do get at least I already did, since I went through this one time, I already reduced the gain to the maximum that it was, the lowest that I could set, which was minus 15 decibels. And it is still pretty loud when I turned it on. It's louder than my factory radio for sure. But anyway, since I want to reduce the hiss, that's something I wanted to try. Once I connect it to Wi-Fi and finish the rest of the settings, I'll try to connect it to Apple CarPlay. For the time being, things look like they're working, so I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, I'm back home, connected to Wi-Fi. So let's go through some of the menus and the things that I had to change. If I go to settings, turned on Wi-Fi. Under display, I didn't really change anything yet. Sound, I didn't really change anything. Under general, what did I change? Don't think I changed anything. If I go to original, yes. So here we did change something. When you start, it pops up a comfort window that at least tries to show you the temperature setting, but you have the window right here where you can see it, and the pop-up window doesn't actually show you the temperature otherwise, but it just comes up every time you change temperature or anything, and stays on for 8 seconds. That's the default. So I just set it to close, so it would turn off. It doesn't really show temperature, so it doesn't matter. The other thing, I wanted to use Fahrenheit, which is the default here. It defaults to centigrade, so I changed it to Fahrenheit, and I set the temperature value conversion, so I see the temperature and everything else in Fahrenheit. So those are the two things I changed. And if I go to reverse, I think I had to set the reversing trajectory on to show me the lines, and that show me where I'm turning versus where I'm pointing straight back forward. And trajectory direction, I experimented with like forward and reverse, but forward is the correct way. So it tells you the direction with respect to where you're facing. And I had to turn the reversing line ruler on. Otherwise, you don't see the second. You see the turning display, where the wheels are turning, but you don't see straight back. So with this line ruler, you see both straight back and also where your tires are trying to turn you. Reversing system selection set to NTSC. Nothing else changed there. Personal, I think you have to set up your account, Google account or something. Okay, so MCU upgrade, I guess we did the system upgrade, so I'm not going to try and change anything. So the default in time and date, it says it's setting time automatically and using GPS to do that, except it defaults to China Standard Time default. So you turn off the set time zone and use location to set time zone settings off. For the very first time, you do have to set your time zone manually, and after that it syncs to GPS and it sets the time correctly. So that's the one thing I had to do. Over here, okay, I use the 8888 setting here. So let's see what options I have. Oh, here's where I had to select the configuration. Now that I'm actually connected to Wi-Fi, it populates some of the options. CAN box is set to raise. Cars for, yeah, so it gives you it shows you the options over here, but it's already selected to raise, which is the right selection, I believe. Cars, Honda, 22 Honda. Oops. Well, I guess trying to select it will change it, but I didn't really change anything. So 22 Honda and the model, high config. I guess even the right view is selected, which essentially enables the lane watch camera. You can pick the logo. I don't really want any logo, so I'll just say okay. It'll say it's updating the upgrade mode. I don't know what it upgrades because it was already defaulted to the right things, but I'll say okay. I believe it tries to update the microcontroller over Wi-Fi. I'll let it update. I don't think it hurts, but it was already set to the right defaults. It just takes a moment. And it'll reboot. All right, the microcontroller updated. It wants me to update Google Maps. The Play Store, I guess, for this particular head unit is the Do Fun Play, I believe. Manage. Installed. Yeah, so any apps that are out of date, you can ask it to update. It'll take a little while. And Z-Link is the app that we really care for when you try to use CarPlay or Android Auto. That's the app that makes everything work. Maps, the Google Maps, you can use. I haven't really tried it, but it needs a live internet connection to work. And since I'm going to use CarPlay anyway, with the phone providing the connection, I don't really need the maps. But just as a default, I guess, when someone doesn't have a phone connected, you can try to have offline maps downloaded on Google Maps, and maybe it'll give you some directions if you're in a pinch or if you don't have signal for some reason. But I don't know if it's that useful if you're already using CarPlay. All right, for some parting thoughts on the install. The unit boots up pretty quickly, and I like how fast CarPlay connects. I downloaded offline maps for Google, so I saw that they work. but I also noticed that yeah, you just get beeps instead of voice guidance like you get on regular Android. But regardless, I think, yeah, you can see I started it right here and it booted up into Apple CarPlay pretty quickly. The last thing I want to say is that on this upper iMid display, I'm not driving right now, but on the upper iMid display you have the directional indicator, the compass direction. That doesn't update with this new system. With this ViaBecs Head Unit, it's mostly stuck on north, but sometimes it tries to flip to the right direction, then keeps going back to north. But regardless, I've found that if you enable like Google Maps on the head unit, Google Maps has a very prominent directional indicator on it. Maybe let's see if I can bring that up. Yeah, when you're driving anyway, yeah, you can see it. It started showing north. So yeah, Google Maps will give you that directional indication, regardless of whether you're using it for directions or not, just by opening it. So if that's important for you, that's something you should note. I think I'll end this video here. I will tidy things up, but so far I've been happy. Oh, in case it helps someone, a couple of other quirks that I've noticed since I've lived with the unit for a week now, between the last install and this video. The gain that we reduced on the Android Head Unit does not apply to the radio or to CarPlay. So if you're making voice calls, you'll still get that hiss in the background, except it's louder, so you'll just hear the hiss a little more, but it's probably okay. Again, I'm probably going to go with the aftermarket amplifier to get rid of that annoying hiss, but nothing you can't live without, especially if you're making calls only for some time. If you reduce the volume to like 2 or 3 or like something very low, then you basically hear the hiss. But if you turn it up to like 3 or 4 or 5, you won't notice it. And especially if you're driving, there's road noise, so it'll drown out, it'll mix with everything else. So it's not something you can't live with, but especially if you listen at low volumes or when you're stopped, you'll definitely notice it. That said, I think I've been happy. I made a conscious decision for the specific trade-offs that I was interested in. I found that there is no perfect factory integration with Kenwood or with Crux harness or anything else that's available for this vehicle. So this is pretty much the best choice there is for me, and I'm happy with it so far. Thank you guys. Hope this helps out someone who's watching it for the first time. So if you're someone who's doing it kind of like the first time, don't be afraid. You can go pull the plug on it. Thank you.